intro.
And this is the way the Whiskey Hour show is going to start today. As you can see, we are having minor technical difficulties. This is not Jay's doing. I feel like this is some Logan stuff.
Don't worry. We can make an intro. Here's to a small town.
Okay, no, I'm not singing. I'm not singing, Celeste. I will let you do that. So anyway, to a very unusual Whiskey Hour show today, we're going to call this the acoustic. Since we're doing acoustic music, this will be the acoustic show. So there is no fancy intro. Maybe get an outro. I don't know. We'll see if Logan screwed me a second time. Well, we'll see. Any event, this is the acoustic, raw, stripped down version of the Whiskey Hour here on Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. Celeste, darling, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm on my third cup of coffee, so I'm super excited today.
Yes, and I have not had coffee. I have had a Michelada.
You're excited.
I have had a Michelada. No coffee. Today I woke up very high strung, so I felt like if I had a coffee, see. And I love how they put the little brown thing around the cups now. They used to go back to the days at McDonald's when that lady got the cup of coffee and it spilt in her lap, and she sued McDonald's for being burnt by the coffee. And McDonald's paid her a lot of money. And ever since that day, everybody who serves coffee always puts the little brown insulator thing on there to prevent lawsuits. So you can thank the lady McDonald's for that beautiful little thermos thing that was over your cup.
It's so cute. It's so aesthetic. It makes me feel like one of those Instagram, Pinterest girls.
This is my coffee. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
Like that.
So, again, for those of you that don't know, today's show is going to be about Korn's acoustic MTV concert, which, if you've never seen that by Korn, don't worry, nobody ever has either. Versus Taylor Swift acoustic concert called Tiny Desk that was done in Washington, D.C. And interestingly enough, Taylor says that all of her songs are written on the guitar or a single instrument. So everything in her catalog started out as acoustic. So it's very easy. It was very easy for her to do an acoustic version of her music, since that's the way it started. Korn, on the other hand, not so much. And if you watch that, Korn will tell you that they was kind of weird for them to do that concert because they're a loud band and they didn't know how they were going to approach it. But we'll get more into each one of those as we go along. So let me go ahead and throw the graphic of what I'm talking about here today. This is what we're talking about, Korn, and let me get that in a better overlay. Boop, boop. And so we're doing Korn's Unplugged MTV, which featured guest artists Robert Smith from The Cure in the song Make Me Bad, and also Amy Lee from Evanescence, and I don't remember the name. On Freak on the Leash. She did Freak on the Leash with Amy Lee from Evanescence, and those were the guests that appeared. Now, as far as I know, Celeste, before you give your take on this, there has never been an MTV Unplugged that I know of that featured guest artists that came out and played with the featured artists. This is the first time I've ever seen this happen. So go ahead and enlighten us. What did you think of Korn MTV Unplugged?
I will say, I think it was really cool that they reimagined the song. I felt like, in my opinion, to me, was less of a true acoustic and more of a reimagining, which was still really cool, and I really enjoyed it. But they had near the end, they had those big Asian drums thing come out.
Taiko drums.
Was really cool. It was the textures they chose to use were much more folk based, which was interesting. I really liked that, and it was more of a production. It was really neat, really put together. it was also like longer. Like it felt like a full length kind of show, like a real, like the Taylor Swift one was I think like 30 minutes or so, and this was 45 or so, 46
Yeah.
minutes. And so the longer production did feel like I was like at a concert of all their songs being reimagined. Their cover of Creep was also really, really good. Like that was cool, especially with the more acoustic reimagining. The one thing I wish they had, and I know it would have been difficult to do, but I wish they had like a part of the show where it was just one instrument or something in the singer, just so I could like hear that too. Like it would have been like a hard thing to do, but if they did that, it would have been just like it would have been like a down thing in the thing. So when it comes back up and had everything, it would have been just so, like it would have had like an even cooler flow. I love kind of the talking in between of letting us know about the different songs and how it affected them and whatnot. I can't remember the Evanescence. Her voice, like crystal clear, unplugged. Like it reminds me of like a handbell kind of thing. Like it just like rings out and through. And then it was also, the other thing that was really cool was being able to see the audience, like when they were filming.
Right.
You know, in front of the stage, because it gave you kind of that more, like, it, for the production, it felt like the room would have been huge, you know? But it was like this huge production with this intimate setting. Which was so cool then, because it was like, imagine being in that room. Because I bet you could probably hear all the instruments from this stage.
Oh, easily.
Yeah. I was like, so that had to be just super, super cool. The reimagining, obsessed. I've heard a lot of Korn before because my sister loves Korn.
Nice.
So I've heard their normal stuff in the recording and everything, and I've got to say the reimagining of it did keep it, like, it's kept to what it was, you know. It didn't sound like, you know, every now and then someone does a reimagining and the reimagining is so reimagined you can't even reference it to the original.
Right.
This one like had all the roots of the original and just like had different kind of textures to what they needed. But I really enjoyed it. I was getting into it.
Yeah, it was interesting to me. Number one, they even had handbells. I mean, they're doing the hand, which was awesome. And I know why they did the handbells, because when you hear the original, there are those high register dings in the song. So the handbells were very appropriate to the song. As well as I love those taiko drums. They're Japanese taiko drums. And I love how he had the taiko guys do, you know, a prelude before the song even started. And when, you know, so when the taiko drums, when they're done with the taiko drums, then they actually go into the song itself. And then you can hear the taiko drums in the song while it's being played. I thought it was crazy how they included a string section, the piano section. They had a damn saw at one point. They were playing a saw on stage, which I thought was incredible, because I don't know of anybody that does a saw on stage with the bow on the saw. That was just insane. It really was. One of the things that I thought was incredible on Freak on the Leash was Amy Lee. Like you said, her voice was so clear, and she is that is typical Evanescence. I mean, if you listen to anything about Evanescence, you hear that voice, and it just sounds that clear all the time. She even did a song called "Broken" with her ex-boyfriend Sean Morgan from Seether, and the song's called "Broken," and she just did an amazing version of that song as well with him, which was a really good duo. And then, you know, what was interesting to me was in the song "Make Me Bad," that featured The Cure, which, you know, as you know, if anybody knows anything about Jonathan Davis, which is the lead singer of Korn, he was heavily bullied in high school. Heavily bullied in high school, to the point where I think that's why he did choose the song "Creep." I know he talks about being bullied in high school and the things that he went through and things of that nature, which again is the reason why he chose to do the song "Creep," was an ode to him being bullied. And I think he thought it was such a beautiful song about it and how to deal with it. So he put that in there. But then he talks about his childhood idol, which was Robert Smith from The Cure, and which Robert Smith is amazing as well in his own right and his own musicianship. I mean, the guy is just amazing. And I like the way that he took Make Me Bad and then took In Between Days from The Cure, and he stuck it right in the middle. Because if you notice, there is one part where it starts off with Korn, and then it goes into Robert Smith, and he sings that long prayer, that I think 1 or 2 verses, maybe in 3 verses in there, and then it goes back to Korn. Well, the part that he's singing in the middle isn't Korn anymore. That's actually The Cure. Damn. So you're actually hearing 2 different songs in Make Me Bad. You were hearing Make Me Bad, flows in between days, and then finishes off Make Me Bad.
That's so cool.
That's how crazy that is.
That's what I was saying. It was like the production was like through the roof. Like even like the lighting was not what you'd think of for and that's what I was like. It was the instruments there were acoustic, but it didn't feel like an acoustic show, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Like by the time you had the lightings and the strings and the handbells and the piano and the acoustic guitars, all of that, it did feel like a whole reimagining, a whole production.
And I think a lot of the overdoneness that you were talking about, which I understand where you're coming from on that, because it's not your typical acoustic. It's just not.
Right.
But then again, Korn is not your typical. They're not your typical. But if you hear Korn's music, it's very layered. Even in the electronic version of it, it's still very layered.
My kind of thought of the reason why they did it was, and this is coming from like a musician's perspective, kind of.
Oh, absolutely.
Is I think instead of being just them and a guitar, I think maybe their thought was, since they're not typically an acoustic band, was to do acoustic better than the normal acoustic people, if that makes sense. Like,
oh, absolutely.
To show people their versatility in a way like, look, we can do acoustic, but we can do acoustic in a way that can like stand toe to toe with our normal stuff. Because I love acoustic shows. Obviously, they're fun to play and all this other stuff. But if you're not like, a lot of their songs are very like emotional hitters. Yeah. And I feel like if you had a guitar and a story, it would still be very good, but it would be very depressing. Do you know what I'm saying?
It would be. No, I do. I think if you just had it all on its own merit, completely stripped, it would be very hard to pull all those textures with that guitar to where it would be very, very it'd almost be a little bit unrecognizable almost, just because of all the things that they do.
Yeah, and all the things they do, and then it's like by having the story where it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like the song's still very sad, but by having the story about a song being sad, but then having this bigger production with handbells and whatnot and all these cool things, it's like, it's sad still, but you've got these textures and layers that like add more emotions into it.
You know, the interesting thing about this is, so, Taylor, all of her stuff starts off on a guitar or a piano. Mm-hmm. But Korn doesn't do that. They just do what they do with their instruments. And I think that's why it was so hard. Jonathan Taylor said that was one of the harder things he's done, because they just don't, that's just not how they come up with their stuff. It's all very, these electronical instruments. So I think he had a very hard time, transitioning into acoustic. You can see he felt uncomfortable. He said it a few times, how this was one of the harder things that he's done. He even said, man, I don't even like talking, basically. I think his actual words were, he says, I don't do this much talking. Yeah. Which I don't.
Yeah. Like, I've got to say, it's like every artist kind of moves in a different way. I think it's like you kind of got like these story-based artists and these emotion-based artists. And when you have the emotion-based artists, they're like, I don't want you to hear the story. I just want you to hear how I feel, Right.
Absolutely.
And I feel like Korn fits in that category where it's like, you know, like if there's like some sort of pain you have that you don't want to talk about, like the best way is to just kind of like sing it or like make some sort of art about it and then just push it that way. And then you've got, it's kind of like the difference between like, let's say Nirvana and Bob Dylan.
Oh yeah.
Like
Easily.
Bob Dylan is story based and
Yeah.
and there's talking and all this other stuff and his music is really good. And then Nirvana is more emotion based. And their stuff is really good and really good stripped down. But you know, it's more just emotion based kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, and again, a group like Nirvana, yeah, they're a lot more simplistic, in their musicianship. It's just, back in those alternative days, it's, 3 basic chords, however you want to arrange it, and then we're gonna roll. Yeah, you're right. In Nirvana, it wasn't so much about the musicianship as it was the storytelling of their song and what he was going through and what Kurt was going through.
Right.
I mean, a lot of that. I mean, it's a simple 3-piece band, and a lot of it, you don't hear the heavy picking. A lot of it is just riffs, and it's good. Nirvana is good. I mean, that's a whole other segment of its own, because his writing is what makes Nirvana. The way he wrote his lyrics, that's really what made Kurt. And there was also a lot of anger in his music. I mean, a lot of anger in Kurt's music. Whereas I think with Korn, not that they don't have anger, but it's more him talking about depression and anxiety and the things that he was going through. And you can hear it in their music. You can hear that. It's almost very anxiety-ridden layers,
Right.
When he
and that's
it.
what I was saying about like these artists that like will take an emotion that we feel is taboo and their body of work really like reflects it and like they kind of dive into it kind of thing, which is super, super cool. And is like it's like a certain kind of artist kind of thing that you don't see a whole lot, because like when you dive into an emotion that deep,
right,
again and again and again, it's like they always find a different angle and a different facet.
And it's interestingly enough to me that he chose Robert Smith to come on that show, because when you look at Robert Smith and you look at the Cure's music, they do have some happier songs, a couple of them. But when you look at him singing, we look at Robert singing, you can see how much Jonathan Taylor has taken from Robert Smith and applied it to his own self when he's performing. The way his mannerisms are, the way he speaks, the way the way they sing. It's very sad songs singing sometimes. And I think you can see that Robert Smith back in those days had an incredible, profound effect on Jonathan Davis, not just on himself, but even in the stylistic way that he approaches things. It's very, very Cure-like. So you can kind of see that how he rubbed off on him like that, which is amazing. Now, let's get into something a little bit more interesting. For all who wanted to know, here she is in her glory. Here she is in all of her glory at the Tiny Desk concert, and it was a tiny desk, and I don't know how they got people crammed in there, but I like how she opened it up with like, normally I have dancers behind me, today you just get me. And I think that I gotta be honest with you. I didn't really, I've never really cared for Taylor Swift because I never got into the whole pop thing. I didn't like all the choreography. I didn't really care about a lot of that growing up as a kid, even all the way up till now, truthfully be known. I've always been more in just the artist, like Jim Morrison, or, in this case, Jonathan Davis, just the ones that probably the only true entertainer I got into was Scott Weiland, because Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots, he's all over the place. I mean, he is a true entertainer. Him and David Bowie, they're that more style of entertainment. I'm more of the serious artist. Just give me the music, give me all of that. That's what I'm here for. And so I never really got into Taylor because of all the dancing and things like that. For me, it just never really popped up on my personal radar. So I think it was easier for me to enjoy listening to Taylor in this type of environment more than the generalized, high production stage environment, if that makes sense. And I think I'm glad I am glad. Even though I told me I was mad you chose this, I wasn't really mad. I was just teasing her. But when you chose this, I didn't know what this was going to be like. I kind of went. I'm not gonna lie to you. I kind of went into this thinking like, God, this is gonna suck. But I'm gonna listen to it because she's listening to my stuff, and the whole point of this exercise is to broaden your horizons, Jay. So let's go to Swiftyland. And I went into Swiftyland. And I enjoyed it. To be honest with you, I enjoyed it. I really did it. By the time it was all over with, I said, "Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it!"
Bracelets.
And I went down there and I looked at Melanie. I said, "Life is never going to be the same for me." She's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, I think on the down low, 6'7", I might be a Swiftie. But I'm not ever going to say that outside this platform ever again. But if you want to know the truth, this would be the only time you ever hear me say this. I might be undercover Swiftie. But it's got to be this side. Don't give me the damn dancers. Just give me the music, for the love of Christ. Just give me the music. But I know she had, look, this is her, she's got a demographic. They want to see the dances. They want to see the hoopla. So I get it. And I hope she does more of these types of concerts where it's just a stripped down version. I don't know if she's going to do a lot of them, but I hope throughout the course of her career that she will take time out moments where she comes back and does this. And I like how she's got
like a bunch of these kind of. She even had like an acoustic show after the Eras tour, like on Music Row and whatnot. And so her acoustic shows, because she started on Music Row, writing with the writers and doing all the things. And I think because of that, like when you see her acoustic in this Nashville Writers Round standard, it's like so different because it's not that pop world anymore. It's kind of like moving her country roots that she had when she started. And it's, it's like, then it is about the song. And when everything's stripped away, like she's got good songs,
Right. And she does. I gotta give her that. I'll tell you, it's interestingly enough. Number one, I didn't, I guess for whatever reason, maybe somebody told me and I just didn't hear it or pay attention. I don't know. But I did not know that she wrote her own stuff. I kind of thought she was spoon-fed songs and she just went out there and sang it. I didn't realize that she was writing. And when I found out that she was writing her own music, again, I found that out through this clip because she talks about it. Obviously, we can't show you the clips due to copyright reasons. So for anybody who wants to see some really awesome concerts, I definitely would tell you to go check out Korn's MTV Unplugged and then go check out Taylor Swift Tiny Desk concert. I promise you, either one of these, take it from a guy who was mosh pitting when I was her age. And now you hear me talking about a Taylor Swift. So if I'm talking about it, there's got to be some level of truth to what I'm saying. And you will have a new perspective on her. I promise you, once you listen to her, you will get a new perspective. But I like how she said, all my songs are about breakups. Even at 12 years old, I didn't even know what it meant to be broken up, but she wrote about breakups. And she said specifically it was because they were more fun to write. And I get that. It is kind of easier to write about pain than it is to write about happiness.
No, it is. It's a little easier to write about pain, and it's also, and I'm just going to say this from a girl's point of view, a lot of what it's kind of talked about and kind of like told that we should think about is romance.
Yeah.
It's not the only part of things. Like, I don't write a lot about breakups, but I could totally see how that could be something that you're very interested in writing about. Because if you think about like the media we consume and whatnot, I mean, yeah, like I get a lot of my inspiration from books and whatnot. So I could see how writing about breakups could be a lot of fun, especially if you like read a book and there's like a breakup in the book or something like that. Taking inspiration and writing about that would be fun.
And interestingly enough, just so we're all on the same page here, I thought it was interesting how we were talking earlier when we talked about Korn and how they were dealing in pain and things like that, and all the other musicians that we know on the rock side of life, how they talk about pain. Country music artists is nothing but pain. And then, you go into an artist like Taylor, who is a kind of a poppy kind of artist, to her demographic, but yeah, she's talking about things that are painful.
Yeah.
Up until a couple of, I think Lover. I don't know if Lover was exactly painful. I think that was probably a little bit better side. I think she wrote that. She got the, correct me if I'm wrong. I want to make sure I have this correctly. I know she wrote one of the songs in her pajamas. I know she talked about getting up in the middle of the night because she had an idea and she was in her pajamas and she went down there and wrote this song. And I wanted to make sure I had that correct. I
Yes,
wrote it
I
in my
think that
notes.
was Lover.
Well, it was Lover, correct? Okay.
Mhm.
And it really is amazing. Another good song was Death by a Thousand Cuts. I really got into that one. I thought
That
that was
one is
pretty,
good.
yeah, I thought that was pretty dope. And you know, but and I just like how she said, I woke up in my PJs and I like how she talked up. And this is where I think this is kind of where I started vibing a little bit more with her than anybody else. And she said this specifically where when she first started learning how to write the guitar, she played it so much that her fingers started to bleed. And now she says she has scars on her fingers from when she went through the learning how to play the guitar process. And that spoke volumes to me because I don't know of a lot of popular entertainers. Like I don't know if the Lady Gagas or whatever out there, you know, are doing that, but there's some sort of when I see artists that are doing that are putting time into the craft to the level of I'm gonna make my fingers bleed if I have to learn how to play this guitar. That automatically makes me want to gravitate to like that type of an artist versus somebody who is a more commercial driven artist or an industry driven or industry made artist. You know what I'm saying?
No, I totally get that. I think it's like people, for Taylor Swift, since she's so popular, she's in the news a lot and whatnot. And so it's hard to like know about Taylor Swift, if that makes sense.
Right.
You know, when an artist gets that popular, it's hard to actually, you know about them with a clean slate because there's so many opinions already all around you.
Exactly. And you know, and interestingly enough, I like, you know, you chose a great story. Like she's a great storyteller in this. I mean, the way she talks about it. I mean, at one point when, you know, obviously you're a very good storyteller, and the way you talk about your music. And so there's a lot of, I never like to compare artists because I always think everybody is their own individual. But you do have there are a lot of similarities where she's at and where you're at. And I can see the path that you're going to go in and I can see how you're going to get there and I think, you know, she's a good example of this. And obviously I see it in you, the way you guys have the ability to set your songs up, talk about your songs. That's amazing. And you don't see a lot of artists that do that, even though MTV Unplugged is designed to talk about your songs. Not a lot of them really do. You know,
It's
Scott
hard
Weiland
and awkward.
Scott Weiland didn't do it in his. Kurt Cobain didn't do it in his. Jonathan Davis did do a little bit, but not nearly as much as the way she set it up. And I really like that. I think that's the perspective that you're in, whether it be MTV Unplugged, Tiny Desk, whatever it is. That's your venue to really set up and learn more about the artist. And I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, I was like, I kind of thought because I felt like there was going to be a whole lot of talking between for Korn because I knew a little bit about it. And so I was thinking about artists that had a lot of storytelling. And I kind of, because I watch Tiny Desk all the time because it's by NPR. And I was sitting there thinking about it and I was like, you know what? I was like, I finally found the opportunity to talk about Taylor Swift. And I was like, this is a perfect opportunity because it's going to be, because a lot of shows I try to pick an artist that will like kind of like be enough different that will either build on something we already talked about or will be enough different from what you chose that there's like a little bit of friction there for us to look at kind of thing. And so I felt like she'd be a good pick to because they're different enough that they can't really be compared.
Right.
Right.
And it's interesting, and they're different in their own way. I mean, obviously, there are two different worlds, right? But what I thought was interesting that Taylor said, and then I thought it was because when she said it, the first thing I put in my notes was Celeste put this on Facebook not even less than a month ago, and it was the fact that she loves when people rank her music. And the first thing I thought of was when you had that video where you were ranking, I think it was her music. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know how she planned that, but I just thought that was hilarious. I actually started laughing because I was like, man, she literally just did this a minute ago. Like you were a legit Swiftie. There's no doubt about it. I'm undercover down low Swiftie, but you're a legit Swiftie.
1 minute, let me show you how much of a Swiftie I am. You're gonna be shaken. Oh no, I left my keys at home. I have Taylor Swift bracelets on my keychain.
Nice.
I'm like Swiftie out here. I'm no
yeah. You're not a Swiftie till you got something of Taylor tattooed on your body somewhere.
Oh,
maybe you should have Swiftie on your side of your arm. Maybe like on your shoulder have Swiftie with the big heart around it.
What you should have is during her Speak Now tour, she would write in Sharpie lyrics down her arm.
Yes.
That's what you gotta do.
Now, let me ask you this. I'm going to give you a trivia question. What is Taylor Swift's favorite month? Or no, excuse me, not month. What is Taylor Swift's favorite season?
Fall.
Wrong. I don't know. It's autumn. It's autumn. She said autumn. Is autumn the same as fall?
Fall and autumn are the same thing.
I don't know, man. I'm not a weather person. She said autumn. You said fall. Potato. Okay, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you, okay? Don't tell Melanie because she's like a math and science person. And if she said that I don't know the difference between autumn and fall, I might not hear the end. Or she might start teaching me. I don't know. And I'll be taking some kind of star test. I don't know.
I need Melanie to teach me. I don't know the difference.
So what was her favorite album? That's her favorite album.
I think it was Red.
And you are good. You are a Swiftie. God, you're a Swiftie. You are such a Swiftie. Yes, you were absolutely correct. Her favorite album was the Red album. And do you know what song she likes off the Red album?
Her favorite song? Isn't it All Too Well?
God, I swear, man. Forget about it. I know why I wrote this stuff down. Why am I trying to grill a Swiftie? You people eat, sleep, and breathe Swiftie land.
Yeah.
Yes,
well,
you are correct. It is All Too Well.
So
what's that?
I started listening to Taylor Swift when I was a kid. So I've been there my whole life.
I like how you say since I was a kid. You're like, what, 21?
Yeah, I started listening to her when her first album came out.
Exactly. What is that like? So you were probably like 11?
No, I was little. I was just in elementary school.
That is insane to me. That I didn't realize she had been out that. I remember when Taylor got her first award. The first time I ever saw Taylor Swift, it was at the award show. I forget which one it was, but it was the one where she gets the award and then Kanye comes up there and makes a big spectacle in front of her, and and then he just looked like a terrible jerk. But anyway, and then that was the first time I had ever laid eyes on Taylor Swift, and I thought,
that was
man,
her second album.
Yeah, was that her second album?
Yeah.
Okay, and she still, even now, she still looks very girl next door, could do no wrong,
Yeah.
Probably waiting till she gets married to have sex, even though that's not true, but she has that look. She has that look. You know what I'm saying? And very wholesome, right? Very, very girl in the front pew type look, and so it's just interesting. It's interesting, Again, I didn't know she wrote her own music, so I'm gonna tip my hat off to Taylor, man. I did not expect to like her. I certainly did not expect to tell Melanie that I liked her music. God, that was good. I thought for sure I was gonna hate this. I really did. I thought this was gonna be the show. I said, yep, this is where me and Celeste are gonna bump heads. It's gonna be down and gritty. Friendships are gonna be tested. It's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be like playing Monopoly at friend night,
Yes.
You come out and you're not friends after.
Oh man. Or you come out of it and you're like, okay, I need about a 1 or 2 week break and then we can reconvene. You know what I mean? I think it's kind of like one of those type of situations. So I'm gonna
1 or 2 week break.
Yes. I need at least a 1 or 2. I need my space. I need space. Yeah. Space and time.
That's what Monopoly does to you.
Yes, absolutely. Now, before we wrap up this show and get up out of this place, I will tell you, we will not do a show next week because that's Thanksgiving. And I'm pretty sure everybody has their Thanksgiving plans. I know I'll be smoking meat most of the week. So yeah, I'm gonna be very, 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 very tied up making food, getting ready for Thanksgiving. I'm telling you, hey, the McMahons, we love to eat, man. We do. We love to eat. So we are throwing down. I'm gonna smoke a turkey. I'm gonna smoke a ham, and whatever else Melanie can throw in there for me to smoke. So it's gonna be interesting. Real quick, since we're talking about Thanksgiving, what is your family planning on doing for Thanksgiving?
They just cooking and eating at home and playing board games.
Man, that sounds like an awesome time. I love playing board games.
Me too.
I can't do the whole. I used to like, man, back in the day, we used to play Twister. Nah, we don't do that anymore. We're a bunch of old people. You get them men playing Twister, and you're gonna have a whole lot of people that can't get up, and we're gonna be stuck there for a long period of time. That's how that goes. So I see a lot of Monopoly or some crazy board game. I mean, we're old school board games.
I like Scrabble.
Scrabble's good. Scrabble's good, but I don't spell terribly well. So 9 times out of 10, when I put a word on the Scrabble, it's getting challenged, and Jay's gonna lose. 9 times out of 10, it always goes that way.
I just like holding all the letters in my hand.
Yes. And then, of course, you get the inevitable couple of words where they put it down and you're like, there's no way that's a word. And then you challenge it and it turns out it's a word. And you're like, you know what? Hell with this game. That's typically the way it goes for me.
Dang.
I'm just saying, that's typically the way it goes. I cannot spell worth a darn. Mm-hmm. And my vocabulary is not too large that you put down a 3-letter word. I'm challenging it thinking there's no way that's a word. And I look it up and it's a word. Now, I don't know many people that ever use it, but in the dictionary, it is a legitimate word. And I'm like, hell with this. Let's just go have a drink and forget about spelling. That's typically the way Scrabble goes in my family.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So we won't do a show on Thanksgiving, but we will be back the first Wednesday in December. And it's going to be a hell of a good time. Celeste, man, any shows we got going on this week that you want to let people know about or this weekend?
Not this week.
So you are taking it easy, relaxing, and enjoying the food and the festivities.
Yep, I'm just going to do my nails and eat some turkey and have a great time.
Man, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not doing shellac no more because... Man, I don't know if you can see this, but you see that right there? Yeah. What happened there? I'll tell you what happened. I was out there doing yard work, Celeste, and it peeled up. I think I hit something in the yard. It peeled up. So then naturally, you just got to tear it off because now it's a sheet. Got to tear it off. So now I got to get them redone. But now I got to find somebody who has a sand. Do you do sanding? You got sandpaper dry? I might need some sandpaper because you got to sand it first, and then they put this chemical on it, and then it comes off. That's how you take it off. That's a gel with the nail. It's a gel with the nail, the Christian nail. Anyway, I'm sorry. That's
I know what you're talking about now.
Yes.
Like, don't sandpaper your hands.
No, you gotta do the nails, but they had the little dremels. They got the little drills, but I don't have a drill. So I was just gonna get some 220 from Lowe's, I'm a little cheap. I was actually just gonna go down the sandpaper aisle and just randomly do this all the way down the aisle until I get it all done, and then go home and not spend anything. Like, sir, you can't test the sandpaper, sir. That's for sale. Oh, my bad. I am so sorry. But I didn't know. How do you know what sandpaper you really need until you try it out and sample it?
Or you just need to get in the yard some more and chip every nail like that and just peel it off.
I'm telling you. So the theory that Jay has now learned that it is much better to not get the gel with the nail. It is better to just get a normal nail polish, just regular nail polish. That's the way.
And when it's gone, it's gone.
And it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah, that's my attitude. That gel, because on the guitar,
yes,
those strings will just.
And I've often thought about that. So obviously as a guitar player, and obviously as a female, it must be hard trying to have nice nails in terms of being painted.
Yeah. I've got my hand they just get torn. I don't know if you can see them. They get they get torn up.
Have you ever played the guitar to the point where they have bled?
Yeah.
Has that's happened to you?
On stage, the string on the bottom when I was coming down because I forgot a pick, it hit right underneath my nail and cut it up there. Ooh, it hurt. I kept going though.
How often do you use a? How often do you play the guitar without a pick versus a pick?
It's 50-50.
Yeah, I do see some musicians that use a pick, and I see some people out there playing the acoustic guitar with no pick, and I'm wondering, why is that? Is that just a preference, or is there a reasoning behind
like
that?
Preference. Like if you play it without a pick, you kind of get like a warmer sound kind of thing, and it's easier to like finger pick and like make those different,
Right.
But it's up to the player kind of thing.
Okay, I was always curious as to why that is, but okay, that's awesome. All right, well, everybody, again, it's your boy Jay McLovin with Celeste Marie Wilson, Taylor Swift, Korn, Swifty, down low. All I can say is, for those young kids out there, that was straight up 6'7", no doubt, no cap, a little bit of Riz. It's your boy Jay McLovin. Say until next time, which will be the first Wednesday in December. Let's see what we choose next. What will I choose for Taylor? Not Taylor. See, now I'm thinking Taylor Swift. That's how Swifty I am right now. That's how Swifty. I am so Swifty. I am so Swifty. I don't even know Celeste. I just know Taylor now.
Now you're just gonna look at me and be like, "Hi, Taylor."
I mean, you do have blonde hair, and she has blonde hair. What a time to be alive. Until next time, it's your boy Jay McLovin, Celeste Marie Wilson, and we will see you in December, first Wednesday.